November 28th meeting of the Meriwether County Board of Commissioners. At this time, we'd like to ask if you have a cell phone or any other electronic device, if you would mind silencing it for the remainder of the meeting, we would appreciate it. If you'll please stand for the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
I'd like to ask you all bow with me for the next few moments. Father, we just come to you thanking you so much for all that you do for us. And Lord, as we come through this week of Thanksgiving, we just always need to keep you in perfect alignment with what goes on here on planet Earth. Father, we just ask tonight for just the calmness of mind, Lord, the dedication of purpose as we go about doing those things that you would have us do here from Meriwether County. And Lord, as always, we just ask you for the mistakes even that we make. Just please forgive us for those things we do even in the future, Lord. These things we ask and pray in Christ Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, before we adopt the agenda, I understand we've got a couple of additions under new business.
Yes, ma'am. We want to add this agenda item, approval of an HRA plan program that we're working on with healthcare, and also we want to add award of bids for our fire departments. So that'll be two new items that we would ask the board.
Okay, this will be number 6 and number 7.
Right.
Okay, anything else? Can we have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Got a second?
Second.
All in favor? All right, we have the minutes from the November 8th regular meeting. We've had a chance to read over these. Are there any corrections, any changes, additions?
Having read, I saw none. I move that we approve these.
We have a second?
Second.
All in favor? We'll move on now to our municipal comments. We have Mayor Hancock from Luthersville.
I have nothing to thank you for at this moment.
Mayor Glover from Greenville.
I have nothing, thank you.
Mayor Prater from Warm Springs.
Madam Chairman, Commissioners, I have some good news. I was in a pre-construction meeting yesterday in LaGrange, and McCoy Grading Company has been awarded the contract to do the railroad bridge on 41 north of Warm Springs. They plan to begin construction in January, and they've got a 2-year period to finish it in. And with y'all know how the railroad gets involved in things. They've got those 45 days that you have to wait to get a flagman, and so it'll take the full 2 years, although someone at our council meeting last night says 2 years, they put in that I-85 bridge in days, as if they didn't have to worry about CSX. But that is good news, because most of us have been waiting on it for many years. Okay, everything else is going good in Warm Springs.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to the constitutional officers. Only office represented Sheriff's Office, I think.
We have nothing.
All right, before we move on to our department heads, we have a guest tonight that we want to recognize, and that's Mr. Kirk Felstool. He is the new director of the Three Rivers Commission. Welcome, and I think you met all the commissioners, but if you'd like to say anything.
I'm just, first of all, thank you for having me here, and I really appreciate the opportunity to meet with you. I've been on the job since November 1st, and so it's been my privilege and priority to get out and meet with all of the commission members and the county commissions as we can, and the economic development organizations, and I just look forward to working with you and look forward to a great relationship. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Welcome. along to our department heads, and we'll start with Skip.
Nothing this time.
All right, Sean.
Got a couple things. First of all, I want to tell everybody we're doing a free spay and neuter at the animal shelter. It's being hosted by a sponsor. It's going to be for Luthersville residents only this time. Cats or dogs, either one. Doesn't cost anything to have them spay or neuter. All they need to do is pay for rabies vaccination, which will be $10. There's somebody from Luthersville who's sponsoring all of it, and they want to pay to have 50 animals spay or neuter. We're going to be posting it on our website and on our Facebook page, and what they'll do is they'll send an email to the email address, and the person sponsoring this will schedule all the appointments with Atlanta Humane Society. After we do this one, they're going to come and work with us on another section of the county. To me, I think it's a great thing. Luthersville, unfortunately, is one of the areas that we have a whole lot of stray animals and a lot of animals that the people can't afford to do the spay and neutering. So this is going to be a great thing for us for Luthersville, and then hopefully we can get the rest of the county covered about March or so of next year. Just to let y'all know, we've done 37 adoptions for the month of October. We are at 28 adoptions right now. We took in 61 animals for the month of November so far. We took in 45 for the month of October. We transferred 49 out on the puppy pipeline this month. So we're doing another transport next Friday. As long as everybody will keep control of their animals, knock on wood, we don't have a whole bunch come in. We're going to have 3 animals at the shelter after Friday of next week.
Oh, wow.
That's cats and dogs.
Sean, this free spay and neuter, is there a date for that, or is
It's
there
going to be January 10th and 11th. I'm sorry about that. And what they're going to do is they're going to set up at the shelter in the back parking lot.
Okay.
People will bring the animals in. They'll leave their spay neuter trailer parked there at the shelter overnight.
Okay.
And then they'll pull it out there on the 12th. People will bring their animals, drop them off, pick them up that afternoon, and then the following day they'll have more scheduled for that day. They want to plan on doing at least 50. They said they can do 30 a day, but they want to try to have at least 25 a day scheduled. So if y'all know anybody who needs it in that area, please send them to us, and we'll make sure to get them the information and cut down on a lot of our stray animals that we have.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank y'all.
You have something else to share?
I don't.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't.
Kind of like Tor, run?
We'll let you share it.
No, I don't know what he placed it, kind of like Tor, run. Yeah.
Third place for the old folk group.
Tyrell. Patty.
I'm good, thank you.
Ron. Keith. We just keep going, Alphonse. Any other department heads? All right, we'll move on to the chamber.
I just have one quick thing under our tourism section, which is the production of the Snow Queen that we have coming in a couple of weeks, and I want to encourage all of you all to attend, or at least go online and buy a ticket and act like you're going to attend, because we're trying to get 200 tickets sold, and tickets are only $15, so if I could encourage y'all to help support this cause.
Who's playing the lead?
Not me. These are top-notch actors from Serenby Playhouse. So if y'all have a place that y'all can post one of these, I would appreciate it. Everyone, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Anybody else have one? Will you talk about that?
I believe in life on that.
You got one?
All right, is there anyone else that we need to hear a report from?
I'm sorry. I know I took too long.
Oh, no, you're
Here,
fine.
I saw papers.
I knew you said it was only
15 flat, or the students have a different rate? Or is it
Ma'am?
the same for students? It's just a flat $50.
Oh, well, students, well, I don't know how they classify children. They said $10 price tag for children, but I don't know what age they establish that.
Find it out.
Yes.
Either in your second round, they're qualified.
Carolyn, do you not want to say anything about the candlelight tour run? I mean, y'all.
Well, we did have 146 runners, so it was a very successful run, and everybody enjoyed themselves. They always like the atmosphere and the festivity of the community. You know, as always, there's a few challenges you have to deal with, but nothing that we couldn't handle, so it was great. It was a great event, and thank you for your support. Now, somebody up here gets a free shirt because of your sponsorship, so y'all have to decide who gets that free shirt.
I get one from a sponsor anyway, so.
Oh, yes, I do.
All right, anyone else?
I was reminded by some of my citizens behind me to announce that the Lucasville Parade is this Saturday. And it starts at the school at 12:15, so if you're coming through Lucasville, you better go before 12 and after 1.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else? All right, we do not have need for a public hearing, so we'll move on to old business. And the first one is the appointment to the Airport Authority for District 5. That is my district, and I'd like to make a motion to take that to the next meeting, please.
Second.
All right, all in favor? Next will be to appoint the steering committee for the comprehensive plan. Turn this over.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chairman, Commissioners. Of course, we're about to begin our comprehensive planning process. Three Rivers is going to be assisting us with that. And we've identified the need for establishing a steering committee. And in doing so, we set out some kind of, formats, and we're ready to come back tonight. I'd like to get as many appointments done as we can, and then maybe finish these up no later than your next meeting, because I'd really like to have a meeting with the steering committee prior to the end of the year. Right now, our criteria, if you guys are fine with this, is each city would have one elected official. The county, we originally had recommended 2 members, but we've had interest in from 3 members who would really like to be on that board, so I would recommend changing that to 3 members. 1 member from the chamber, 1 from water and sewer, 1 from IDA, 1 from the school system, and then I think we also talked about having somebody from either Roosevelt Institute or the hospital authority. I do have the city selections tonight, with the exception of 1. In Luthersville, Mayor Hancock is going to serve in that capacity. In Lone Oak, Philip Dow, who's the city council person. In Manchester, Mike Brennan, who's the mayor. Woodbury, L.C. Gates, who's on council. In Gay, Mayor Ruth Nash, and in Greenville, Mayor Charlene Glover. The only city we do not have is Warm Springs at this time, and we had an appointment on that, but that has since been withdrawn. We also have interest, and we would recommend appointment of Commissioner Bray, Commissioner Hines, Chairman Hadley to that committee as members of the commission board. We'd recommend Carolyn McKinley from the chamber, James Stevens from our water and sewer, and the IDA's requested representative was Rosa Plant. And I think Commissioner Hines, I think you had looked into talking with Mr. Eric Pollard possibly, and I think Commissioner Bray, Mr. Ben Anderson, I think was the committees we have. So we really need to approve that group, plus commissioners need to appoint 1 person to this board. And then we still need to reach out to either Roosevelt Institute or Hospital Authority and get a member based upon that, and then that will complete your steering committee.
The school system. We still need the school system too.
Still need the school system, you're right. And I reached out to them again today and have called in to Dr. Dixon to see if they can make a recommendation.
I talked with him, he knows about it, he's just working on that person that he wants to do it.
Fantastic.
Not sure if he wants to do it.
Somebody else, okay.
Madam Chair, I have a question. In giving this information out and trying to select people that would be a good fit for this, I think it's also important that we have some kind of descriptor, because today, when I reached out to some individuals, they wanted a little bit more information.
Right.
As far as how often they're gonna meet, is it once a month, twice a month, is it 8 hours, So even when we're giving this information out, I think we need a little bit more information so that if people make a commitment, they kind of know what they're committing to, whether it's gonna be a full day or half a day. And I know some of that may be part of what they're gonna do,
That's
but
right.
in the meantime, it's so much easier when you can give people a little more descriptive of what it's gonna consist of, because we've experienced where once we share with them for people and then they come back and say, that's not a good fit. So I think we may need to, because there's some people who I think would be more than qualified to do it, and there's others, their schedule may not permit it.
Sure. And we'd be glad to do that. And you're exactly right. A lot of how much time and how long the meetings are is going to be determined by the committee once they meet. I know that I've talked with Paul Gerald from Three Rivers, and we've talked about the first meeting will be a kind of an introduction, sharing with some of what their duties and responsibilities are. But I can get that information out, where it can be shared with everyone. In addition to that, we're having the comprehensive plan, service delivery strategy, and our short-term work plan copied. They're kind of large in our copy machine. We don't want to damage it, so we're going to have those copied, and we'll have a copy to share with everybody, because there's going to be a lot of review of that to kind of tell you, where we are, what we've been, and we can decide where we move forward.
Well, they kind of gave us an outline when we met with them as to when the meetings may be, how many you would have to have each month up until. They just didn't say how long the meetings would be.
That's right.
But I think if I have something like that, it'd make it a little bit easier to send. And also the gentleman that I have recommended, I've asked him to give me a short bio so that the board can see it, and even those who are going to be on the committee have an idea of what those individuals' assets and strength they bring to the steering committee.
Okay, do you want him on the list to be voted on tonight?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, we can wait until December the 13th, then you will have a copy of his bio.
Okay.
You all would know that information prior to that.
You want your appointment on there tonight?
We can do them all at one time. I do already have his bio, but I printed it out, but unfortunately, it's not in front of me.
Is that on Eric Pollard and Mr. Ben Anderson?
Ben, yes.
Okay, so you can hold off on those tonight?
So we could go ahead and vote on this, what the cities and the authorities in the county, and then we would still need to follow it with the school board, the commissioner's appointments, and the hospital
Or Roosevelt?
or Roosevelt.
Right.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
Anything else? Did everybody get those names down? That thing?
Yeah, and we'll reach back out, and if we can get that finalized by the next meeting, that will help us be able to get that meeting set up. And what we may be doing is going ahead and trying to set up a time for that meeting, and we'll have packets once the people are ready. We can go ahead and get out as well. Thank you.
All right, here in the recommendation from Mr. Gator, we have a motion to nominate those listed for the Comprehensive Plan Steering Committee.
Madam Chair, I move they be accepted as presented by Mr. Gay.
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor? All right, and we'll finish that up by our December 13th meeting then. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, under new business, we have an affidavit regarding the appointment to the members of the Board of Elections and Registration.
Chairman Commissioners, this is required under Senate Bill 383 that the Board of Commissioners appoint and adopt the affidavit for appointment of members of the Board of Elections and Registration. And the appointees are Burns, Lovick Bryan, and Harmon David Caldwell. One's from Greenville, one's from Gay. So we recommend approval.
Okay, here in this recommendation, do we have a motion to approve Mr. Bryan and Mr. Caldwell to the Board of Elections?
So,
We have a second?
Second.
Any other nominees? All in favor? All right, thank you. All right, now we have the acceptance of deed for the Cove Road Fire Station.
And Chairman and Commissioners, we present to you guys tonight for acceptance a deed, it's a limited warranty deed for a 2-acre tract of land, and it is on Cove Road right across from LL Rebel Road. This is a 2-acre tract that will be used for our fire station in that district. This is a deed from Pebblebrook Investments Incorporated to Meriwether County. And we have some drawings of the location, can share with you guys. This is Cove Road, this is LL Rebel, and the tract of land will be right on the frontage. It actually has a 30-foot easement which will allow the property owner to access the property behind there. But it's absolutely wonderful location. Bill, Fire Chief, others worked very hard on trying to get this located, and this was almost the perfect spot. We just wasn't sure we were going to be able to acquire that. But Mr. Vanderkrabben, who is Pebblebrook, did agree to sell us the property at a very reasonable price, and it's an absolutely wonderful location for fire station. So we're going to ask you guys tonight to accept this deed, and we'll have it recorded, and we're going to move forward with final surveys and soil testing, and then a site plan to be able to locate a fire station.
And this will be the combining of the Columbia and the Cove Fire Department.
That's
So
right.
ones don't know that, LL Rebel will go straight to Columbia, so it is a good location
It's a good
to
location.
combine those two.
And it can go out to 85, back into the Cove, or to Cleveland Springs. It's a good location and a good area there for the fire station. So we recommend acceptance of that warranty.
Okay, do we have a motion to accept the deed for the Cove Road Fire Station?
So moved.
We have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next will be the acceptance of construction easements, and this is on Montgomery Road.
So Montgomery Road, this is actually two. I think I mentioned to you guys before, the Montgomery Road project's coming along very well. Tyrell today was telling me he was down there, and they've really made some really good progress with the replacement of the culvert. The thing that we run into was the road section, I guess it's to the west of the culvert, was in pretty bad shape, so we're going to have to make some improvements on that, and we'll be bringing back a modified contract for that. But in doing so, we needed some additional right-of-way on each side to be able to work. Commissioner Bray, got with me, provided me some contact information on the adjoining owners, and we have a temporary construction easement from Miss Gladys Burtz and a temporary construction easement from Miss Elizabeth Clinton Sampson. And this is a 20-foot easement along the right-of-way, and it's good for a period of 90 days. That will allow us to be able to complete that project, and we would recommend acceptance of these temporary construction easements.
Okay. Have a motion to accept the temporary easements for Montgomery Road.
So moved.
We have a second?
Second.
All in favor? All right, next is notification of upcoming board appointments.
Chairman and Commissioners, we have placed, Beverly has in your packets, a list of the upcoming board appointments that will expire at the end of the year, and we would ask that everybody take a look at this and determine if you want to reappoint the person who's serving, if they're willing, or if you want to seek a new appointment. We'd love to have those again placed back on your next agenda on December the 13th. That way we can go ahead and make those appointments, and when the boards and parties get ready to meet after the first of the year, the terms will be new and renewed, and we won't have any vacancies that are there. We're not asking for any action tonight other than to just look at this and hopefully be ready to make the appointments and reappointments at your next meeting. We thought this was a good time to go ahead and bring that up to give you some time to think about that before they expire. And I think also on the list is a term and expiration of the current members.
Okay, are we going to have a discussion here about these suggested forms or means for trying to find somebody for appointments? Or is
We
that
are,
just-
we're gonna talk about that, before that meeting.
Okay, all right. So no votes needed there.
No votes needed there.
Need approval of some final invoices and change orders on the 2017 resurfacing project.
Yes, Madam Chairman, Commissioners, we have now completed and are about to turn in the documents to GDOT on our final invoices on our 2017 resurfacing project. This, of course, after the initial contract was approved, we added Bronze Road as a change order. And the contract was actually unit price based on estimated quantities that we measured from the road dimensions. When we got out and actually were completing the road, the dimensions were a little low. And so our original contract started out with, right at $900,000. We added a $25,000 change order. And then our total completion to date is about $989. And that included, there was some extra leveling that was needed, some extra width that was there. Next year, we're going to use probably 20 foot in width, because sometimes when you use an 18-foot width, maybe 18 feet in one spot, but you go down the road and it's 20 feet. And so when you calculate the quantities, you end up a little bit low. So what we're going to do next year is just use a 20-foot standard width. But we have checked all the tickets and the weight tickets on this, and everything is in order. They've completed the roads. The ones I looked at are pretty good. Terrell, you haven't seen any problem with any of the projects or anything?
No, sir.
So we're ready to make a recommendation on final approval, and we wanted to enter that into the minutes, and we'll be turning that in as a completed project for our LMIG. And the great thing about our LMIG is that, you have 3 years to complete the program. And other than the restriping LMIG, which we just are getting started with, we will have completed all of our LMIGs up to date as we make our 18 recommendation. And probably in January, we will have completed our 2017 striping as well. So we'll go into 2018 with no outstanding LMIG projects whatsoever. So we recommend approval of the final invoice and payment for that
All right,
project.
do we have a motion to approve the final invoice for the 2017 resurfacing project?
So moved.
You have a second? Second. All in favor?
Thank you.
I had someone come see me today and was telling me what a good job they did on Showery Road.
Good.
They did a
It's been a good project.
All right, one of the items that we added, number 6, this will be changes for our HRA plan
Yes, ma'am.
administration.
Yes, thank you. This is HRA is a health reimbursement arrangement, and right now we offer this program. It's a program where it's really almost a high deductible, and you guys correct me because y'all work with this all the time. It's a high deductible healthcare plan, and we've been utilizing this plan, and we've been using Admin America to be able to administer that program for us. It costs us like $5,000 to administer. Bill and Beverly have been working with some of our reps, Shaw Hankins, and they've been able to reduce this by going to a company called Continuum, who is very highly ranked. And we're going to have this service offered, and we're going to go from $5,000 to $0 for them to administer this program for us. So we would recommend that. We hope to have the contract available tonight, but we have not received it yet, but we will be receiving it. We would recommend approval contingent upon Susan's review and staff review, and allow Madam Chairman to be able to execute that agreement. And it doesn't change any of our services. It actually offers more services to our employees at a reduced cost, because right now we're paying the $5,000 for administration, and it will be eliminated.
I think Beverly said the employees can expect a quicker turnaround on money being reimbursed to them.
Right. Now, another program that we're looking at, and we talked about it earlier this week, is a flexible spending account. And that flexible spending account allows people to be able to sign up, and it's almost like a little debit card that you receive, and it's kind of preloaded with dollars that you pay back over the course of the year as the employee. And you get the benefit of it being pre-taxed, so you don't have to deal with that. So it's a savings there. But what it also does is we have, early in the year, everybody's still trying to meet their deductibles on medication and everything. If they have this flexible spending account, then they can use that for their deductibles and everything. So it manages their cash flow better. So we're not quite ready to bring that back yet, but the programs work very well in other locations. The downside is the employee needs to understand that they don't want to put too much in there. I think the federal government includes $600. $2,600. You don't want to put too much in there because you can only roll over like $500 or something. So if you don't spend it, then you lost it. But it's a good program, allows people to be able to utilize that. And one of the complaints that we had this year when we switched over to insurance coverage was the deductibles early on. This would help address those issues for the employees. So that's something we'll be bringing back.
There is a small cost per employee, but it's, considerably less than what we were paying for the
It's only for the employee that participates, not for everybody as a whole.
We'll be bringing that back. Tonight, we're just asking for consideration of the contract for the health reimbursement.
You're talking about a small cost for the spending account?
Flexible.
Yes.
Flexible spending account.
And what's the cost?
It was $3.
Is that per month?
Per month.
Thank
per
you.
month, It's for them to administer the program.
Just those that choose to do it.
We were looking at probably maybe only $35 a month or something if we only had 10 people participate. Maybe more will get involved once they learn about it.
Only thing is, again, I do what you said, and I see a lot of people not understand it fully. They put it in there, they don't realize that they can roll that money over, and then they have lost that, so it really didn't do any good to save the tax on the front end. So we need to, if we do that and offer it to them, we do need to make sure they understand it.
The laws have changed a little bit. There's a grace period of up to 6 months, I think, the next year to use that money before you run the risk completely.
And there's also things that we want to be able to have a good list of what people can use it for. There's a lot of things you can use it for, and some things you can't. But the best way to do it is to start out low. You say maybe put in, I don't know, $500 or $1,000, and then see how you do for the year. And if you spend all of it, then you might want to think about it, adding more. And if you don't, you might want to go with the same or reduce it. But our deductibles for some medications are pretty high, so as is everybody's. So we think it'll be a good program. But you're right, the employees need to understand it. And Shaw Hankins said they would come down before we did that and would have an educational seminar where we can explain it to everybody, make sure they're understanding what they're getting. We think we're going to have some employees who are going to really benefit from it, particularly the ones that are on regular meds and they have to meet that deductible.
Right now, medical, we have $1,500 deductible, and on the pharmacy is $300 deductible, and the pharmacy runs per year, not per calendar year. Well, it does calendar year, so they've got $300 this year from July to December, and another $300 in January. So this would help if somebody thought they were going to meet these deductibles, to go ahead and fund that with $1,800 throughout the year pre-tax, and that would take care of that pull down.
So it's a good program, but you're right, you have to understand what you get. But we'll be bringing that back. And again, I thank Bill and Beverly for their work on this. We're constantly trying to, work and do better things for the county and the employees.
Okay. All right, can we have a motion to approve contract for our new HRA provider contingent upon our attorney reading it and approving it, and also to allow the chairman to sign?
So,
Second.
Second.
All in favor? All right, next, number 7, be the award of bids for the fire pumpers.
Chairman, Commissioners, we sent out bids for our new fire pumpers, and we received bids back from 4 companies: Fireline, 10-8, Deep South, and Custom Truck. The chief has reviewed these. I reviewed them this afternoon. truck was the low bid. And depending on whether or not we include a performance bond, the trucks without the performance bond are $218,855 each. We also have the option of purchasing additional trucks from that at that price. There is an add-on of $65.65 per unit should the performance bond be required. But I want to talk with the county attorney on that issue because they're really asking that it be net on delivery. So I don't know that we've got any real exposure in terms of performance because we're not going to pay for them until we get them on site and inspect them. So we may be able to forego and save that cost. And we've reviewed the specs, and we have Mr. Snyder is here tonight if the board has any questions. We have a long, detailed list of specs. They have taken no exceptions to those specs, which means they're meeting everything that we've got. I did have a couple of questions that I was able to talk to Mr. Snyder about ahead of time. One was a wiring issue on spec on page 44. They just forgot to check that box, but there's no exceptions. And also a date for additional purchases. He advised me tonight they'd be willing to honor that price as long as it was not a chassis or some in cost that went directly to them. And if that were the case, they'd simply pass that on to us, and we'd still be able to have the pricing.
I saw those others, and I would like for you to read those out.
I'll be happy to, yes, sir. I'll be happy to read those out. Fireline, 519,322. 10-8 was 541,572. Deep South was 484,820, and custom was 437,710 for the two. And even with if we added back in the bond, they would still be $30-something thousand cheaper than the low bid.
Well, that's why I wanted you to read it since they are so low.
Right, absolutely.
So they are very well accounted.
Yeah, and that's a lot for us too. We're glad to have it. I know Mayor mentioned earlier about local contractor getting the bridge. That same local contractor is also working with us on airport project, which I'll tell you guys about in just a few minutes. And anytime we can get business back in Fairweather County, we're proud to do that. So our recommendation would be awarding the bid to Custom Works and allowing us to be able to develop that contract and allow the chairman to be able to execute those contracts.
Madam Chair, I have one question.
Okay.
Explain to me, because I'm not sure that bond, that performance bond, I need a little clarity on that.
Yes, ma'am. What you do is you want to be sure with a performance bond, and Susan and Bill, y'all help me out with this, that the contractor's performing to the specs. If they were asking, for example, for us to put 50% down up front, then I would say we probably need a performance bond to be sure that they're going to follow through with the contract and not leave us in the middle of the thing. With them saying it is terms are net on delivery, that is a lot less exposure for us. So we can then say, hey, this is something that they're bearing all the liability on, because if they don't deliver the truck, we simply don't pay for the truck. The only thing we would be harmed in would be that we'd have to go back out and rebid it and get another truck.
So do we have a time frame on that delivery?
Yes, ma'am. The delivery is approximately 90 to 120 days.
Okay.
Which is the delivery time that they're anticipating. And again, Mr. Snyder, you want to come forward? You have anything you want to share with the board? Chief, you guys come up as well. Y'all, if there's any questions the board has, or anything y'all want to share with the board.
On behalf of Custom Works, we appreciate the opportunity to work with the county and the confidence that the county has shown us, not only on this project, but projects in the past. We always keep in mind that we are local, so not only do we benefit from that, but the county benefits from it. But we also understand that we're taxpayers as well, so we look after our own money. and that these trucks are important because one day they may have to come put us out. So we want to do the very best that we can on that as well.
How many, I'm sorry, Madam Chair, how many trucks?
We're going to order 2 trucks now, and then we're going to reserve the right to be able to order additional trucks at this price as long as the chassis will be available. And that gives us the option of, as we move through our fire bond, we got a certain amount of dollars to spend. We want to be sure we get the stations built, etc. Once we get those bid out, if we have additional dollars left over, we'll be calling them again to honor this price of an additional truck. And if not, again, I want to be sure we finish those stations before we bid too many trucks. That's why we put a request in here that they honor that price for additional units.
For how many, how long?
They would honor it through the chassis availability.
Yeah, I believe they're, I believe they're 2019 chassis.
Okay,
And so we would honor them for as long as the 2019 chassis are available.
okay.
After that time, we would pass along any increase in the chassis directly from Freightliner, based upon invoice, to you, plus any additional options or changes that you might want along the line. But we would not go up on the base.
But I know a lot of times, things you don't have control over.
Yes.
So those unexpected expenses, like everything, inflation. So I just wanted to see what time frame we have. I mean, the sooner the better for us, but unfortunately, we've got some other things we've got to work on as well, so.
Sure.
And within the next 6 months or less, we'll know where we stand.
Okay, sounds good.
And we're flexible as well. We'd be happy to, to work with the county any way we can.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Who's got to get the ride on the first truck?
We're going to bring it up here tomorrow, right up here. Let everybody try that.
Bring that thing.
We put you on the ladder.
All right, hearing the recommendation from Mr. Gay, we have a motion to approve the bid from Custom Works for 2 new fire trucks.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Next, we have a report from Mr. Bill on our finance.
We've got several documents in front of you. The first one is the county bank balance general fund with 1.4 million. We should receive it. We should buy money before the end of the year. 24 million at least, I think. The other accounts are looking really good. The last 2 down at the very bottom, the cartridge at O&M and the cartridge at bond, $277,000 to spend on the fire truck when it shows up. Plus plenty to pay the bond that payment comes due. Unless you got any questions, we'll move on.
We never did get anything from the town. We never got anything.
The next document is the city's investor services. They do a yearly review of our bond, look at the finances of the county, and I'll just hit the high marks on the first page. Moody's has affirmed the Baa1 rating that they originally gave the county a couple of years ago on the water sewer bonds, which is good news for us. Larry and I both were hoping they would raise that rating, but they really can't do it till they get the financial reports in March of next year. Once that audited, we feel like once the audited statements, they're able to review them, we'll be pushing to raise that rate. A couple of credit strength, trend of structurally balanced operations, GO debt service supported by SPLOST revenues. It lists some credit challenges, which we know very well what those are. We've had those. We suffer from the limited financial flexibility, history of negative cash flow levels, and fund balance at fiscal year end. And interesting, they listed below average resident wealth levels. There's not a whole lot that we can do about that. Population grows in the county and the economy gets better, that thing they look up will go up. They also list some factors that could lead to an upgrade, material improvement in fund balance and cash levels. We feel pretty confident 2017 will achieve those things. A significant increase in the tax base, which is not going to happen, and socioeconomic indexes. Conversely, factors that could lead to a downgrade, deviation from improved financial position and decline in the tax base. And I won't mention anything else. You read through the talks about the economy and tax base, financial operations and reserves, liquidity, debt structure, pensions and OPEB, legal security and things like that. Have some time, you take a look at those, but I guess in summary, we were encouraged and we look forward to them coming back next year and looking at it, and hopefully we'll get an upgrade on the bonds.
And
I'll read one thing. You skipped over the rating outlook, and it says the stable outlook reflects the recent stabilization of the county's financial position as demonstrated by surplus performance in the fiscal years 2014 through 2016, which will continue given management's commitment to replenishing reserves. And that is a direct reflection of our financial department and our department heads and constitutional officers. So let's...
And that's, Mr. Chairman, that's what I was going to say. When we talked to the agent, they were very impressed with the direction the county was going in, and I think a little bit more history of that direction, and we'll be very well poised for some increases. And our outlook's very stable. That is good. So, yeah, and you guys have set the tone for that, and and we appreciate that. And Bill and his group, and as you said, all the departments. So we think it's very good.
We were so confident in being able to deliver to the analysts that we didn't even get our financial guy on the phone with us.
Right. Yeah.
Any other questions on that? The next thing, I provided a sketch to you just for your review on the bathroom expansion remodeling at Lake Meriwether. I guess this is the pie in the sky drawing. We will we'll bid this out and see what the cost is, and then we'll decide what we have to cut to get to where we need to be. And where we need to be is going to be based on how much we can move from other areas in that grant that we're not going to do, such as the horse part of it, and got a lot of money there for a guardrail on top of the dam. And there tells us we can't do that anymore. Don't want to mess with the dam. So we'll get this price, and we may have to do some cost cutting and some shifting around in the budget to be able to do what we need to do. But it does give us what we need. Gives us 2 handicap showers, one in the men's bathroom, one in the women's bathroom, and then in the new addition gives a couple more showers. It's pretty. Mike did a real good job on placing those in there.
Madam Chair, I have a question. This is for Lake Meriwether?
Right.
The existing,
Bathroom. We're gonna add.
so this is a new facility. This is not retrofitting the one that's there.
It's retrofitting what's there.
Plus the
Expansion on, a little addition on the back, plus renovating the existing there.
And when it's all done, you really, it'll look, for all intents and purposes, brand new, because it will be. And this is part of the dollars coming out of the grant.
Correct.
That Bill, Carolyn, and others.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
I'm not an architect. Is there, I see the women and the men, is there a section in this for family? Not in this one?
So I was going to miss family.
Well, the reason I ask is because I know a lot of new constructions now are adding that family component, so that people who, with their daughters, men with their daughters, want to go into, so you're seeing a lot of that. So I'm just, did we consider that, or is it something we could consider? Maybe not on a large scale, but, it is something that is being more, that's all.
Understand.
The last thing I have,
Let me make a comment before you leave that.
I'm sorry.
If you will look at this, you're seeing, you may not catch it at first, what we have down there is a real plain Jane type operation, if you will. There's no heat, there's no cooling. I don't think there's any hot water. I've never noticed any there.
Yeah, there's hot water.
I've never noticed it working. So if you will look here, you've got a new HVAC system that's going to be installed, as well as, I mean, the little utility room is going to be a nice addition there. Right in the center.
It's gonna be real nice. It's
Be a real facelift.
not gonna be as nice as what the architect wanted to do. It's still gonna be nice. You've seen his work, so
Your
you.
dream's big.
Yeah.
That's what architects do.
We're excited about that. We'll bring some prices back to you.
When you come back with this, we'll be eligible to vote on it at that time.
Well, I do agree with Shirley. I think we need to do something, and if we're gonna keep it at this, then keep the women's as is, and then what looks like a new addition to the men, because it encompasses everything that's needed, the sink, the toilet, the shower. Why not close that wall off instead of opening it up and make it a family area, just so we had at least one? I totally agree, because we do have some situations that occur across the country to where there are certain bathrooms needed for certain individuals, and I think we do need to look at accommodating everyone.
We'll look into that.
The other thing,
Do it.
Ms. Bright has a question.
Comes down to cost.
Maybe I'm a little behind because I wasn't at the last commissioner meeting, but this grant that's furnished in this for the bathroom, is this part of the grant that Carolyn has for the walking trail?
Yes, ma'am.
And so my next question is, where are we with that walking trail?
You'll get a report on that in just a few minutes.
Okay, thanks.
I'll let Commissioner McCoy.
And this bathroom has always been part
Part of it.
Part of it.
Trailhead.
It's a trailhead bathroom.
But let me ask this then, I have a question. Because this grant has been pushed back so many times, would this project has to be completed by December of 2018?
Yes.
If you're gonna use grant funds.
So all of this has to be completed in that time frame as well, since we pushed it back? Okay, thank you.
And I understand the costing deal, but I don't think it'll actually be that big of a deal if you don't open this existing up to the new, just leave that closed off as is, and then do an outside entrance, either back here or over to the side to have a family, but leave the women's like it is. Because the men can wait in line to get a shower.
Usually there are more women than there is men.
Y'all take a little bit longer.
May I ask you a question? Are they ADA accessible?
Yes.
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 This is,
That's the
yes.
other thing we'll have to look at if we do close that. We'll have to make it ADA as well.
Well, that's why I said it, because it's showing in both sections that there is handicap for both, in both of those sections.
But if we close that third one off for a family, we'll have to make that ADA as well.
And it looks like it already is.
It's already is, isn't it?
It probably is, I don't know for sure. We'll check that out. The last thing, I got an email from the gentleman I've been working with, GDOT, on the property transfer with theirs. He tells me, the deeds are running through review and signatures by upper management. I would expect them anytime now. We've been working with them for 6 or 8 months. Yeah, so we're excited about that. As soon as I get it okay with him, they're coming with some signs out on the Woodbury and get started on that.
Is it our last one of the first ones that we were?
We still have,
That's number 6.
yeah, that's number 6. So we got a couple more and then some more remodels.
That's all I have, Madam Chair.
All right, thank you. Now we have a report from our county administrator.
Yes, ma'am, I'll try to go through this very quickly. Our LMIG list for 2018, I think I gave you guys a copy of that earlier. That's a list that we will provide to GDOT. We need to make that application here before the end of the year. I've got everything ready, just needed that list. And of course, if there's roads or conditions change, we can change those too before we do final contract. But that is the list that we will go ahead and submit to GDOT. Also, we'll let you know the striping bids. I give you guys a copy of the additional roads due to the fact that our bids came in at a really good price. We're able to add that additional list, which is about 40 miles of roads. That will be center line only, but that will be a big improvement. We will get this contract started. They will do this contract, the majority of it, in December, and I would imagine by the end of January, rolling around, we will have completed all the mileage, which will be close to 90 miles of striping, which GDOT is paying 70%. So that's a project that that we're moving forward with as well. Just a little bit of information. We got an invitation from the city of Greenville to participate in the Christmas parade. If anyone is interested in that,
When is it?
That Christmas parade is December 15th, and they're asking anybody that wants to be able to decorate a car, a van, or a float, and take part in it, please let them know. So we'll have that. I'll ask Beverly if she'll get that out to everybody and let us know if you are interested in that.
Is it in the evening?
5:30.
5:30 p.m. And I think Mr. Commissioner McCoy is going to talk about the theft of the sign we had down at the covered bridge. We'll talk about that in a minute. We got the culvert contract ready to go, and we'll have that ready. I think the chairman's already signed that for our culverts on the last two remaining roads. As I said earlier, we'll start our soil testing site plans on the additional fire station sites. The construction on the airport is going to start Monday. McCoy Grading is going to be the contractor on that. Board of Assessors is moving forward with their personal property audit. Bill's already mentioned the Moody's review. And I want to mention to you guys that Dave Wills is the interim executive director for ACCG. Dave, I emailed him earlier this week and asked, basically I said, I hope you're going to consider this as a full-time position because I think he'd be wonderful in that position. He has a good background, a good history on both sides of the table, and a good personality to be able to fill that role. So I hope that he will do that.
He knows where Marywood County is.
He does. He knows where it is. And I tell you, when he walks in here, he calls everybody by name.
That's
So
right.
he's an impressive guy.
That would be a plus for us.
It sure would. And did want to let you know, after a lot of working on it, we now actually have received notification that we've been awarded our tire grant. This is $8,500. So what we'll do is we'll be working on setting up a tire amnesty program where we can utilize those funds for disposal of tires. And any that we don't dispose of, we'll send to Beverly for those Christmas decorations she was talking about earlier.
Well, that project was supposed to be, we got so much money, all you got to do is apply. It turned into quite a
Yeah, we applied, I think, back in August. And, I called today and said, where does this stand? So we finally got it. So persistence is the key. But other than that, that's all I have. I do have some executive session items that Susan might say.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, we'll move on to report from commissioners. Commissioner Graybill,
I don't have anything.
Commissioner Gray.
The only thing I have is I just want to invite everyone to visit our art centers here in Greenville. Ms. Wilbur has a clay art exhibit going on from November the 30th to December the 30th, so I invite everyone to go out and visit those galleries. Also, it was a pleasure, and I learned a lot from being a graduate of leadership Meriwether. So we finally finished that, and I'm happy for that. And also, I have finished my core classes, and hopefully I will be getting my certificate to place right there on March. But I have finished all my classes, and so I am now certified.
Good. Congratulations.
Just a couple of things. Since we met last, we did have the candlelight weekend in Warm Springs. It was quite a success. It went along with the 5K run, but we had lots of people in town over the weekend. But those weekends are continuing all the way through Christmas. The stores are open until 8 p.m. every Friday and Saturday evening. Carolers strolling the streets. Santa Claus will make his appearance. Good food, good shopping, just good atmosphere. The town looks really pretty, so if you have some free time over the next few weekends, come join us on Friday or Saturday evenings. Today, Commissioner Hines and Commissioner Bray and I got to attend the Rural Economic Development Council meeting that was hosted in Warm Springs. Originally, when this started, it was going to be a lot more focused on our area, and we were really excited about that. Due to Mother Nature and the hurricanes earlier, it got combined with another region, and most of their topics weren't as pertinent to us as we thought they would be, but it was still nice to have all of them in Warm Springs. It was a delegation of legislators that will be taking things back to the Capitol on the behalf of rural Georgia. I was talking with a lady there today, and we said, you know, if you haven't lived in rural Georgia, you really don't understand our needs if you've only lived in the cities, and they don't understand about distance and poverty like we do. But hopefully they heard some of the things that were needed in our area, and hopefully we'll see some good results from that once they go back to the Capitol the first of the year. That's it. Commissioner McCoy.
Well, I've got a few items I'm going to run over, and I'm going to try to start this on a good note. I just read the road report, and the reports I'm getting are very compatible with what I saw there on paper. We've done a good bit of grading, cutting of right-of-ways, and it looks like tree removal has been a big item for this last report. And I have a number of calls that really appreciate the grading that was done here recently. I don't know who we got on that motor grader, but he's obviously getting some thumbs up, so I just want to tell you that, Tyrell.
Who's on it?
Two guys, and
Okay. And now, let me get over to the, well, I got you lined up here, Tyrell. Let me go to the covered bridge right quick. Last Tuesday, I was coming back from South Georgia, and Tyrell called me, and he said, I sure do hate to tell you this. Then he went on to tell me about the sign being stolen down at the covered bridge. And it's kind of a heartbreaker, because a lot of work went into that, and we had the sign there to the silhouette, obviously to attract attention and people enhance what's there, I guess is a better way to put it. And then all of a sudden somebody likes it better than we do, so they take the sign. You know, it's sad, because they're not really stealing from me or Meriwether County, they're stealing from the taxpayers when they come out and do something like that. So right after that, I called Theron and asked him if he would just go and just get everything up till we get security cameras put down there. So if you go down and you don't see the echo box or anything there right now, that is the reason why. Until we get the security cameras in place, I think it would just be folly to, because I know the echo box is worth a lot more than that sign was, and I'd hate to see it gone. Just wanted to mention that. Lake Meriwether, let me see where I want to start here. Let me go ahead and do this report for you. Back in October, I believe October the 5th, DNR came down and they did a survey of the lake. And when they do a survey, they have rods that sit out in front of that boat, and they just essentially electrocute the water as they go along. So keeping up with where they've been and what they've done, they can give you a pretty good idea of fish density down there. And of course, he says here, a sign of a healthy lake is a balanced fish population. We got to have the correct ratio of prey, which in this case is brim, to the predators, which is the bass, and that's what most people go down there to fish for. The brim seem to be abundant, along with red breast sunfish, red deer sunfish, and bluegill, which is great. There also seems to be some fish there that we really should, the gizzard shad. This thing grows so fast, he gets in there and becomes a nuisance, and he becomes too big to be edible, so that's something we have got to get rid of down there. But by and large, it looks like our lake is very healthy, just going through here and looking at the number of desirable brim and bass that they did recover. He did say, I was standing there on the lake when he brought the boat back in, he said the bass could stand to be a little fatter. So I thought that was kind of an interesting term to have for our bass. And obviously, when you're getting this collection of grizzly shad out there, they're not getting as much as they probably need. And I'm not sure what we can do to work on those. If we knew somebody just wanted to come catch a bunch of them, we'd be glad to give them to them.
Yeah, that's right.
But anyway, the other thing about Lake Meriwether, the trail was brought up. This last Saturday, two of our members, me and Danny Stevens, met down and we started marking and going in and laying out trail. We went right above primitive camping and just took our gear in and was just walking and cutting and marking as we went. Danny had an interesting device. He had a layout, a GPS on his phone that was excellent. Somebody went by, and I think Mr. Robert was part of this, and put up years ago metal fence posts where the survey stakes were. Whenever they did the survey over 20 years ago, that was all laid out. We have been able, both times I've been down there, to find those posts. Now, when you're getting in there and it's hard to see, that little GPS was just invaluable. It shows a little red dot where we are and has the property line outlined. You can tell when you're walking close to it or when you're getting away from it. So that worked out pretty well for us. So on his stepper, we had about 2.8 miles by the time we came out of there. Not all of that was trail. We had to do some search and some looking around down there while we were doing it. By and large, we probably mapped out 1 mile to 1.25 miles. Now what we did is we put some ribbons there on the bank. This next time when we go down, and some of us will be down there Saturday, we're going to take a boat across over to where that ribbon is so we can take that gear with us. Once you're winding and moving, and actually the line comes pretty close at times there to the lake. And it depends on elevation. If you've got a steep elevation, the property line comes in closer. And there's just going to be some areas there we're going to have to decide how we're going to negotiate those areas because they are very close. So yeah, we are working on the trail, and slowly as we keep marking and going through there, and let me say this, we're basically blazing the trail. We're not trying to finish at this point or do anything with it. Once we get it laid out, then we can come back and hopefully we can get some help from the Boy Scouts and some others to come in and kind of help us mark this trail on across there. It's quite a feat to be walking around that lake down there. It's a beautiful place, but it's places where it's just very thick. We had to work in there with machetes and cutters just to get through. I think it was turning out to be pretty good. So we'll get back down this Saturday and do a little more. If we can get 1 mile or 2 every Saturday, it won't take us long to get on back in there. Something I was going to mention, I had mentioned this earlier, Mr. Theron and I were talking about this. Remember, we have a grant that's still sitting, wherever grants sit in limbo, I guess, is sitting there waiting for us to do something up here with this gun range. And one of the things, we've done a good bit of excavating. The backstop is there pretty much in place. And we've got to move on and do a few more things because I think we have to have a showing by the end of this December. And what I'm going to try to do over the next few days is just kind of lay out a little building up there for us to use. And Ron, you've received my drawings before. I don't think it'd be a problem with you accepting any of those that we can lay out, right? And what I'll do is by next meeting, I'll bring it in from the board's approval to kind of look at what we want to do. And I've had promise of quite a number of, a few contractors said, look, if you will lay it out and get the slab, we'll raise it. So we could just raise that thing pretty quickly and get it in the dry, and then we can go from there. That's what I'm hoping to do. That was about all I had. Any questions over what I've covered here?
May I just make one
Yes, ma'am.
comment on the trail? Remember that the grant also calls for a 1 mile ADA accessible portion of that trail.
That's right.
So we do need to make sure we are not omitting that whole piece of it as well.
And we need to talk about that and put our heads together, because some of that area we were in there would be tough for ADA. It would really be tough. The elevation changes are more so in there than you would realize.
We'll probably have to use a route across the dam with a connector back up to the road that goes in by Camden to be able to get that. But,
Any other comments? Ms. Carroll, appreciate that.
Thank you for your work on it.
All right. That's all I have then, Madam Chair.
All right, Commissioner Hines?
This past Saturday was Small Business Shop Local. We always hear about Black Friday and Cyber Monday. This is a promotional thing to shop local. So we encourage people during your holiday festive time, do come to the local shops and patronize to them and buy. So that's a good thing to do. We discussed, I brought to the attention to the board about what ACCG legislative form. So we are going to host a meeting December the 5th at 10 a.m. Our representative Debbie Buckner and Representative Trammell has agreed to be a part of that. Also, Mr. Todd, I'm sorry to say Todd's last name, but he's with ACCG. He will facilitate the meeting.
Todd Edwards.
Yes, he's going to facilitate the meeting. So this is an opportunity for stakeholders to come and find out those issues around broadband, the state revenue reform, and the 911. So we are hoping to get a good turnout so people can come and be a part of that. Just listening to all the different projects, and especially the one Commissioner McCoy was just mentioning, we have a lot of different things that have been going on. I think it would be advantageous, and I'm sure Mr. Gay, you've already thought of this, is to list the different projects. What we have done and accomplished, where we at, so we can get an overview of this. Your staff and this board has done a lot in 2017, and I'm a true believer you need to toot your own horn. And so I know some people feel like we haven't gotten anything accomplished, but I beg the difference. So sometimes we got to let them know. I know for those in Greenville, never thought that the courthouse wall would ever happen, but it has, and looks absolutely wonderful. The bridge, the Sibley Bridge, we never thought that was going to come to an end. So I think we need to at least check off those things that have really accomplished. And sometimes things don't happen overnight, but persistent and just staying with it, it definitely. So once again, I say kudos to some of the projects and things, but we got a lot of work ahead of us. And so we can at least outline those things and bring it back at our December meeting so people can see.
We've had a department head meeting on Monday. We talked about that very same thing, getting the list of accomplishments, but also wanted to plan for next year too. So depending on how much time we have, we'll certainly at your December meeting, we'll talk about what we've, what you guys have accomplished this year and the good projects. And I was actually talking to Brent the other day, and he brought up, he said, well, I don't know that 911's had a lot of big projects this year. And I said, well, listen, you managed a couple of major storm events that come through. And I said, that's a project too. It's not bricks and mortar, but it's something you did. And so we got to think of all the things we've done. And it's been a good year. Next year's going to be really busy, but it'll be another good year. So we'll bring that back to you guys at your next meeting. We're going to do a presentation.
And Mr. Cockadell, make sure that's in the paper.
Well, he's going to have to put it in writing instead of. Because I just told Bill, I said, the progress edition's coming. Do you remember what you said to me last?
I don't. I think that's when we were between like administrative assistants and everything.
It was okay. I was just picking on you a little bit there.
We'll have it, maybe we put it in a PowerPoint presentation.
It won't matter, it won't be accurate anyway.
You're so high-minded.
I have a comment, I'm gonna be quiet.
Beverly and Susan and I were talking before the meeting about how busy things are, and Susan made a comment, at least it's all positive things. It's not like we're putting out fires right now, so that's a good thing. It's all positive things that we're putting on. And one thing I need to mention though, and I know Miss Jane wasn't here tonight, but I know y'all got the email about the tour of Meriwether Park along with the water and sewer and IDA, so if you're planning to attend that, you do need to let Belinda or her know. That is Monday at 8:30 a.m. All right, Ms. Henderson.
Well, as Mr. Gay indicated, we do have need for an executive session to discuss real estate, legal, and personnel matters.
Okay, now we come time for the public comment. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to say anything? If you would, please come to the podium, give us your name and address, and we'll give you 3 minutes to speak.
Don't be shy, get your hand up.
Just real quick, Virginia Hill, as a citizen and also a council. Just want to know, I know they're in the process of doing the wall up there at the courthouse, I call it Lady Courthouse. Will this year we be able to put anything up for the holidays? And if so, it is a question, yes. Well, it is a question. I mean, normally that is our first thing you see when you come into the city of Greenville. That is our lady, so I'm just trying to see, are we gonna dress her up? We're doing it at the bottom, but are we gonna do it festively?
She's going top this year.
She's been through a good while. She looked good in July. You did a great for 4th of July, so I'm just trying to see for December. Who does?
I don't know, who normally puts the wreaths and stuff up on the courthouse?
It's a group, I don't know if it's a women's group or a gardening group that's in Greenville that does that. They have,
Is it the gardening group, Meriwether?
3 people.
they have the decorations and they
They have
decorate.
already said, depending on where the contractors are and if it will actually be finished in time for them to put up
It
there.
looks like we're getting close to being finished though. I noticed when we came through today. We'll check on it.
At least something, that's all.
I think we'll be finished. I talked to Jack Reed about it today, and he said they're nearing completion. And I have not been back up there to this day, and they're going to be in a situation where very soon they're going to be letting the second phase of that, which is going to be the road work and the restriping and all of that. So that's going to be coming very soon. And so I think
They may not start back behind the wall though, so at least they get stuff cleaned up from the wall. It might be a little bit of time in between.
right. Yeah, that's right. Once they finish that, they will not be back onto our grounds. It'll be out in the street.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we ought to check with somebody just to see what the plans are, maybe Ms. Glover, can you?
We can do
Just
that.
see what stands. Okay, is there anyone else?
Can I add something else for the animal shelter?
Yes.
I also wanted to let everybody know, we've had our first ever dog that got pulled by the Department of Agriculture. It's a lab that we had. They go through a very strenuous training and health check. He's now going to be a detection dog at the airport. They said he was honestly one of the best ones they've seen come through there in about 2 years' time. So he'll start his training in February. It'll be a 9-week training course. Then they'll have a big graduation ceremony in Noonan at the Ag Center up there. And anybody who wants to go will be welcome to come to it. Also, just so people know, we have t-shirts made up for the animal shelter. It says Meriwether County Animal Shelter on it. We're selling it to help with heartworm treatment, stuff like that on dogs. So if anybody wants to get a t-shirt, we have them over there for sale.
How much are they?
$20 a piece.
Great Christmas presents.
They are.
That's right.
For the county employees who were involved in the candlelight run, they all got one. Thanks to the county, we got one for everybody that was involved in the run out there. They're actually pretty nice t-shirts. It's a way to help let people know that we do have a shelter and that we have a lot of good animals there for adoption and stuff. So if anybody's interested in t-shirts, please get with us and let us know. Thank y'all.
Let me ask you a quick question, please, being one way yourself. Who is going to announce, I mean, we've got city council, and then council certainly announces it, but how are y'all gonna announce the free state initiative for the rest?
We're gonna put it on our Facebook and our website. website.
Okay, it's gonna be in the
And
paper.
I'm gonna have a flyer. I'm trying to get it to y'all
I'll
over
put it
there.
up at City Hall too, yeah, and I'll announce.
And we're gonna see about having
Get
it
the
ran.
word out so they can take advantage.
Yeah, we're gonna see about having it ran in the newspaper, and I was gonna get with you
I'll put it
afterwards.
at City Hall, okay.
I'll get with you afterwards.
She's gonna have you run.
All right, is there anyone else? All right, we do have need for an executive session, but let me just mention our next meeting will be December the 13th at 9 a.m. County offices will be closed on December 26th and 25th, and we have canceled the last meeting of the year, which would be December the 26th, and then the offices will be closed January 1st. We appreciate you being here tonight. You're certainly welcome to stay until we get through executive session. If not, we'll see you again on the 13th. Can we have a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of real estate, personnel, and legal? Have a second? All in favor? All right, executive session. Thank you.